My fiancé said, "I need you to pay for my sister's wedding too since we're family now." I replied, "Of course," then calculated the total cost and sent her an invoice for half our relationship expenses. Now she's begging me to reconsider as I take back the ring off her finger. Saturday morning, I was making coffee when Lauren walked into the kitchen with that scheming look she got when she wanted something expensive. We'd been engaged for 4 months together for 2.5 years. Her sister Emma's wedding was coming up in 2 months, and apparently, that was about to become my problem. "Ryan, I need to talk to you about Emma's wedding situation." I kept my focus on the coffee maker. "What about it?" "Jason's company downsized last month. He's only working part-time now and they can't make the final venue payment. That sucks for them. They need $12,000 by the end of next month or they lose the venue and everything they've already paid." $12,000, I could see where this was heading. "That's unfortunate. Ryan, we're family now. Emma's my only sister. I can't let her lose her dream wedding over money. So what are you suggesting?" "I think we should help them out, cover the venue balance so they don't lose everything they've put into this." I turned around and looked at her directly. "You want me to pay $12,000 for your sister's wedding? We'd be paying for it. As a couple, as family, with my money. Ryan, you make good money. $12,000 won't break you." Lauren had been living in my apartment for 14 months, ever since her lease expired, and she claimed she couldn't find anything affordable. Before that, she'd been splitting a 2-bedroom with a roommate downtown. "Of course," I said. Lauren's face lit up. "Really?" "Absolutely. Since we're family now and sharing major expenses equally, I'll start calculating how much you owe me for half of everything I've paid for during our relationship." The smile disappeared. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if we're family who shares financial responsibilities equally, then you should have been paying half our rent, half the groceries, half the vacation costs from the beginning." "That's not the same thing." "Why not?" "You just said we're family now and should share financial responsibilities. This is different. This is helping my sister and covering your rent for 14 months was helping you. Paying for dinners and vacations was helping you." Lauren was starting to look panicked. "Ryan, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. Give me the weekend to calculate exactly how much you owe me for your half of our shared expenses. Then we can talk about family financial responsibilities." I spent Saturday and Sunday with bank statements and credit card bills. 2.5 years of relationship expenses adding up steadily. Rent differential for her half of my apartment for 14 months since she'd moved in. Dinners where I picked up the check, grocery bills, entertainment, the vacation to Europe last summer, weekend trips, shopping excursions where Lauren picked out clothes and I paid. The total was $28,000. Sunday evening, I presented Lauren with a detailed spreadsheet. "Here's your half of our relationship expenses. $28,000 and change. Once you settle this account, we can discuss lending money to your sister." Lauren stared at the papers like they were radioactive. "This is crazy, Ryan. You can't charge me for things you offered to pay for. You can't volunteer me to pay $12,000 for your sister's wedding because we're family, but you just did. That's completely different." "How?" "Because you chose to pay for those things. I never asked you to." "When did I choose to pay $12,000 for Emma's wedding?" "You said, of course, when I suggested it." "I said, of course, I'd calculate your share of our expenses, which I did." Update 1. Monday evening, Lauren's parents showed up at my apartment unannounced. Apparently, Lauren had called them panicking about my financial demands. Her father, Frank, cut straight to business. "Ryan, what's this about charging Lauren for grocery bills and rent?" "It's about applying Lauren's logic consistently. She says we're family who should share financial obligations equally. But you've always covered expenses." "That was the arrangement." "There was no arrangement, Frank. I paid because Lauren claimed she couldn't afford her share. Now she wants me to pay for Emma's wedding using the same family obligation argument." Lauren's mother, Patricia, looked confused. "Ryan, you know Lauren doesn't make enough to pay half of everything. Then maybe Lauren shouldn't volunteer my money for other people's weddings. Emma will lose her venue deposit if she can't make the payment. $6,000 down the drain. That's Emma and Jason's problem to solve." Frank was getting irritated. "We raised Lauren to believe family helps family in crisis situations." "Great. Your family, help Emma yourselves. We're on a fixed income. We can't afford to help with $12,000. Then Emma can't afford a $12,000 venue. Patricia started tearing up. You're putting money before family, Ryan. I'm putting financial responsibility before other people's poor planning. Lauren thought you cared enough about her to help her sister. Lauren thought wrong about a lot of things, apparently. The conversation went in circles for 40 minutes before they left, frustrated and confused about my sudden unreasonableness. Update 2, the negotiation. Tuesday morning, Lauren tried a different strategy. Ryan, I've been thinking about your spreadsheet. And what if we work out a payment plan? You help Emma with the venue and I'll start paying my share of expenses going forward. What about the $28,000 you already owe me? That's not realistic, Ryan. I never agreed to split those costs retroactively and I never agreed to fund your sister's wedding. Okay. What if I commit to paying you back gradually? Like $500 a month until it's settled. I did the math quickly. At $500 a month, you'd be paying me for almost 5 years. Assuming you never missed a payment. Ryan, be practical here. I am being practical. You want me to give your sister $12,000 I earned. I want you to pay me $28,000 for expenses you enjoyed. Both are based on family financial obligation. It's not the same thing. Explain the difference. The difference is Emma needs help right now for a one-time crisis, and I needed help paying rent and groceries for 14 months. Apparently, family obligation only flows one direction. Wednesday, Emma called me directly, which was awkward since we'd only met a handful of times. Ryan, I hope you don't mind me calling, but Lauren said you might be able to help with our venue situation. Lauren was wrong. I understand this is a big ask, but Jason and I are in a really tough spot. He's interviewing for full-time positions, but nothing's come through yet. That's unfortunate timing. We've already paid the photographer, caterer, and florist. If we lose the venue, we'll have vendors, but nowhere to have the wedding. Why did you pay vendors before securing the venue payment? We thought Jason's job was secure. The final venue payment wasn't due until this month. Emily, you booked vendors you couldn't afford based on assumptions about future income. That's not my emergency to solve. I know it's a lot to ask, but we'll pay you back as soon as Jason finds steady work. What if he doesn't find steady work? What if it takes months or years? We'll figure something out. Emma, you're asking me to loan $12,000 to people who already demonstrated they can't manage money with no collateral and no realistic repayment plan. Ryan, please, this wedding means everything to me. Then you should have made sure you could afford it before booking it. Update 3. The Family Summit. Thursday evening, Lauren orchestrated a family meeting at her parents' house. Everyone would be there to discuss the situation rationally and work out a solution that helped Emma while being fair to everyone. I showed up with printed copies of my expense breakdown and a timeline of Lauren's financial dependency over our relationship. Since we're discussing family financial obligations, here are the relevant facts. I laid out the numbers systematically. 14 months of Lauren living in my apartment contributing nothing toward rent while saving her previous housing costs. Restaurant meals, entertainment, travel expenses, shopping trips where Lauren selected items, and I paid for them. Lauren has cost me $28,000 over 2.5 years. She now wants me to add $12,000 more for Emma's wedding based on family obligation. Patricia was crying again. Ryan, those weren't debts, those were gifts from someone who loved Lauren. Exactly. And $12,000 for Emma would be a gift too from Lauren using the money she owes me. And I spoke up defensively. Ryan, I never asked Lauren to live rent-free or take expensive vacations, and I never asked to fund your wedding, but you're in a position to help and we're not. I'm in a position to help because I work and save money instead of spending money. I don't have on things I can't afford. Frank was getting red-faced. This isn't about money, Ryan. This is about supporting family. If it's not about money, Frank, why are you all here asking me for $12,000? We're asking because Emma needs help and you're the only one who can provide it. I'm not the only one who can provide it. Emma and Jason can provide it by planning a wedding they can actually afford. The meeting deteriorated into accusations about selfishness and family loyalty. I left after Patricia suggested I didn't really love Lauren if I wouldn't help her sister, and Frank threatened to never accept me into their family if I let Emma's wedding fall apart. Friday, Lauren was in tears when I got home from work. Emma had to cancel the venue. They're losing the deposit and all the vendor contracts. I'm sorry it worked out that way. Ryan, you could have prevented this entire disaster. No, Lauren. Emma and Jason could have prevented this by not booking vendors they couldn't pay for. You chose money over family. You chose your sister's poor planning over our relationship. I don't understand how you can be so cold about this. I don't understand how you can demand $12,000 from me while owing me $28,000. I don't owe you anything, Ryan. You paid for those things because you wanted to. Fine. Then I don't owe Emma anything either because I don't want to. Update 4, The Ring. Saturday morning, Lauren made one final attempt at negotiation. Ryan, I've been thinking about what you said about shared expenses and financial responsibility. And what if we get married and officially combine our finances, then it would be our money helping family when they need it. Lauren, are you suggesting I marry you so you can spend my money on your family without asking permission? That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. You want legal access to my income so you can fund your family's lifestyle choices. I meant we should combine finances like married couples do and make decisions together. You didn't want to make this decision together. You told me we were paying for Emma's wedding because we're family now. Okay. I should have discussed it first. But Ryan, we're engaged. We're planning a future together. My family is going to be your family. Actually, no, they're not. What do you mean? I pulled the engagement ring box out of my desk drawer. Give me the ring back, Lauren. What? Ryan, no. The engagement ring. I want it back. Don't do this, please. Lauren, you spent a week trying to guilt me into paying $12,000 for your sister's wedding. When I showed you that you owe me $28,000 for relationship expenses, you claimed family financial obligation doesn't work both ways. Then you suggested I marry you so you can access my money for your family. I'm not marrying someone who sees my bank account as her family's emergency fund. I never said that. You said we should share major expenses equally, but only expenses that benefit your family. Every expense that benefited you over the past 2 years was my generous choice that created no obligation on your part. Ryan, please. I love you. You love my financial stability, Lauren. There's a difference. That's not true. Then pay me the $28,000 you owe me and we can discuss it. You know, I can't afford that. And I can't afford to marry someone who thinks being engaged gives her family claim to money I earned. Lauren was sobbing, but she pulled the ring off her finger and handed it to me. Ryan, you're making a huge mistake. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not calculating your half of our expenses 2 years ago. Final update, 6 weeks later. The breakup was swift and complete once Lauren realized I wasn't changing my mind. She moved back in with her parents within 10 days and started job hunting for full-time work to support herself. Emma ended up postponing her wedding indefinitely. Jason found part-time retail work, but they couldn't afford to reschedule their original vendor contracts. Last I heard, they were planning a backyard ceremony at Emma's house with potluck dinner. Lauren's family spent 3 weeks convinced I'd come crawling back apologizing and offering to pay for Emma's rescheduled wedding. Patricia called me twice, asking when I planned to propose again. Frank left voicemails about forgiveness and supporting family. I blocked their numbers after the second week. Last week, Lauren's friend Jessica called to update me on Lauren's new relationship. Apparently, she's dating someone named Marcus, who works at a warehouse and drives a 10-year-old pickup truck. She seems really happy, Ryan. Marcus is very attentive. Good for her. Don't you want to know how she's doing? Not particularly. She says you were controlling about money and never really loved her family. I'm sure that's her version. Marcus doesn't make much, but he's very generous with what he has. He should start calculating her half of their expenses now before it gets expensive. The engagement ring sold back to the jeweler for 90% of purchase price. $10,000 back in my account where it belonged. The whole situation perfectly illustrated Lauren's approach to relationships and money. She genuinely believed that being engaged to me gave her family access to my income for their financial emergencies. That my earnings were somehow community property available for her relatives' poor planning. When I applied her family sharing logic to expenses she'd enjoyed for 2 years, suddenly shared financial responsibility became unreasonable and unfair. Lauren wanted a fiancé who would fund her family's lifestyle without question or reciprocal obligation. She discovered I wanted a partner who understood that financial generosity flows both ways in healthy relationships. Emma learned that booking vendors you can't afford leads to canceled weddings. Lauren learned that volunteering other people's money leads to canceled engagements. I learned that a $28,000 expense calculation makes an excellent test of relationship financial compatibility. Lauren failed completely. The ring is back in my safe deposit box, waiting for someone who understands the difference between sharing expenses and being a personal ATM for your partner's family emergencies. Someone who won't look at my bank account and see their sister's wedding fund. Someone who understands that we're family now means mutual obligation, not one-way financial exploitation. Lauren thought she'd found a meal ticket disguised as a fiancé. Instead, she found out that meal tickets come with bills for everything already consumed. Some people think engagement rings come with unlimited access to their partner's wallet for family emergencies. Those people usually end up returning the ring.